What's up, fellow fishing fanatics? Today I'm out here testing the Bass Pro Shops Extreme STK or Extreme Stick, however you want to pronounce it, to see if it's worth your hard-earned dollars. So let's get to it. Now, I've been testing this rod and reel combo for about 6 months now after Bass Pro sent it to me, and I'm not sold that it's absolutely worth your hard-earned money. There are some pros and there's some cons that we really need to discuss. Now, I've got the 5-foot ultralight setup, but they offer up to 7 foot in length and up to medium heavy power. But since ultralight fishing for bass, trout, bluegill, any kind of panfish is one of my favorite things to do, I went with this setup. All right, let's talk about the benefits for anglers like you and me. So the first benefit that it might be worth your hard-earned money is because it's simply just not gonna cost very much of it. This ultralight setup is about 50 bucks. So whether you're a beginner or a more advanced angler, it's gonna be in your price range. The next thing that I really liked about it, and it has absolutely zero to do with fishing performance, and it won't help you fish any better, catch more fish, nothing like that, but it just looks cool. I like the black and green combo. So like I said, it's not gonna help you fish better, but it's gonna help you look better while you're fishing. And then when you look better, you feel better, and then you fish better, right? That's my logic. Don't tell my wife. Now, despite being a really short rod, and for that matter, a really cheap rod and reel, it casts pretty good. Now, I'm not just gonna bomb it with this one. Now, the 7-foot one, it probably casts a lot farther, but I have no experience with that, so take it with a grain of salt because I haven't tested that one. But this 5-foot one casts plenty far for everything I wanna do, from bass fishing, crappie fishing, bluegill fishing, and trout fishing, like I'm doing here today. The other thing that surprised me was how smooth this reel is for just a really cheap reel. Like I said, it casts really well, but it also reels smoothly. So it's not real clunky, there's not grinding gears, nothing like that. And honestly, I was kind of expecting it to be a little bit more clunky. So one of my favorite things to do with ultralight gear is catch bigger fish. And I say bigger fish, relatively speaking, because on ultralight gear, a 1 or 2 pounder is a big fish and it's a lot of fun to catch. And this setup right here has handled those perfectly. In my pond back home, I've got a lot of 1 to 2 pound bass and I can reel them in, no problem. Love fighting them on it. Some of these trout in here are that ½ pound to, hopefully some get 2 pounds, but most of the time ½ pound to pound, and it has no problem reeling those in as well. I wanna offer this benefit with an asterisk because I've only had it for 6 months, so I don't know the full durability of it, but I've had it bouncing around in the back of my truck and it hasn't broke yet. And I'm notoriously hard on gear. Whether I'm breaking a tip from pushing it too far into the bed of the truck or closing it in the tailgate, all that kind of stuff, I've done to rods and reels. And so far, I haven't done it to this, so I wouldn't recommend just going out and doing that when you get it, but it has held up bouncing around in the back of my truck, down county roads, and to these fishing spots. Now, while I think this rod and reel combo is pretty good, and I've had a lot of fun catching fish on it for the last several months, I do think there are a couple of downfalls that you need to be aware of before you rush out and buy it. The first one, and this is just a personal preference kind of thing, I think the handle is just too long. Now, I fish a lot of small rivers and creeks in my kayak, and I love having that shorter handle to drop in my rod holders, and it keeps it out of the overhanging trees that my rods inevitably get tangled in. So I like having that shorter handle and a shorter rod for that reason. Now, is this a deal breaker for 50 bucks? No, it's really not. And it has the good EVA foam. I'm not a huge fan of the cork. I think they chip out too fast. So considering that it still uses that foam handle, I can overlook having a little bit too long of a handle. Also, my hands are really small, so somebody with bigger hands is gonna appreciate that bigger handle. And the other con that we've briefly touched on is simply, I don't think this is gonna be a rod and reel combo that I'm gonna pass on to my kids and my grandkids. I think it's gonna break eventually, especially bouncing around in the back of my truck or in my kayak trailer. But once again, this isn't a high dollar family heirloom. This is a cheap rod and reel combo that gets you on the water fishing right away. So in my opinion, who is this for? I think it's a great beginner-friendly setup, super cheap, and you're not gonna cry if you end up breaking it pretty quickly. Also, just in general, ultralight and fishing enthusiasts like me, even if you're pretty experienced, you can still enjoy this. I think it's high enough quality that you're gonna have a blast catching all the fish on the trip that you can. My wife, daughter, and mom all love using this combo because it's really lightweight and the fish are just fun to fight on this little setup. And honestly, they'd rather use this setup than some of my high dollar bass fishing spinning reel setups. However, if you are a tournament bass angler, a tournament crappie angler, I would not recommend this setup. I think you're gonna strip the gears way too quickly. You're just gonna end up being frustrated because it breaks so soon, or it breaks at the most crucial moment and you don't land that fish that you needed to win the tournament. So if you're a tournament angler, I would steer clear of it just because it is on the lower end of the quality spectrum. And as a former kayak tournament angler, I was a gear junkie and I wanted the best stuff. So while I think this gets the job done for the average angler, I don't think if you're gonna use it every single weekend that it's gonna hold up. But if you do think it's for you, I'd appreciate it if you use the links to purchase the BPS Extreme Stick. Your purchase using the links in the description earns us a small commission at no extra cost to you, allowing us to keep creating fun, informational fishing content just like this. Or if you don't think it's for you, you can check out this video right here where I help you make your own ultralight fishing rod out of river cane. And just to prove that I was capable of doing it, I challenged myself, if I didn't catch a fish in that video, that I had to take the polar plunge. And let's just say it was really nerve-wracking, and I can't wait to see you there.